Junket Media. Today, we're going to talk about Phazer the Blazer. So ever since we put out our intro video, we've had a lot of people message us, is that Phazer the Blazer from Faster with Finnegan? How did we acquire it? What's wrong with it? All kinds of questions. So we're gonna answer all those. The short answer is we bought it about 2 years ago, parked it right here, and it's been sitting there ever since. We have no idea what's wrong with it other than what you know from the TV show, that it stopped running. So how do you fix a project car rotting in the ground? Well, I'll tell you. You sign it up for an event with no plans of actually getting there. So I took 2 days off of work. LS Fest is next weekend. So we have to pull this thing out here, figure out what's wrong with it, get it fixed, and get it to Kentucky in basically 2 days. As I'm saying it out loud, I'm realizing how bad of an idea this is, but hey, thanks for tuning in. Let's get this thing out of here and get started because we're already losing daylight on one of the days. Let's get to it. All right, so we got this thing out from behind the fence so we can kind of take a better look at it now. As you can see, I mean, it still has the tape on it from when it was on the TV show where they did the GoPros. We literally haven't touched this thing in 2 years. I think the first thing we're gonna do is take the spark plugs out and put a wrench on the crankshaft and just see if it'll spin over to see, kind of start the diagnosis there. Yeah. Oh boy. Still even has the zip ties on it. Of course. All right. Let's see what size spark plugs we're dealing with here. Am I gonna get it on the first try? Oh, there's rat poop on this. That's not good. First try, that never happens. All right, let's get these out of here. Maybe a little lean. Doesn't seem anything crazy on that spark plug. Oh, there's mold on the engine. That's good. Listen, when marketplace gets so expensive that you can't find a barn find for a good deal, you just make your own. You just let a car sit for long enough, and boom, you got a barn find. Hey, this thing's been sitting for 2 years now. Barn find. All that mold and stuff on it ups the value for sure. Okay, well that cylinder looks super rich compared to the other two. So, I love how every one of these spark plugs looks different. It's always a good start. When every single spark plug looks a little different, that's how you know you're in for a good time. You know, I don't know what I'm hoping for here. Like, would I rather the engine be blown up or would I rather an electrical problem? I don't know what's a good answer there. Because this is all Faster with Finnegan engineering, so. Okay, that one looks normal. She's a big girl. Why does that spark plug look like it has mud in it? Last one. Okay. Good deal. All the spark plugs are out. All right. Let's put a breaker bar on this crankshaft and see if we can't get it to spin, because that'll tell us a lot of what possibly is wrong with it. Because on the show they said they thought they might have possibly locked up the motor, but you know, they were just assuming. They never actually diagnosed it. So with all the spark plugs out, it should almost spin over by hand because there shouldn't be any compression behind it. So just put this breaker bar on here. Okay. Make sure she's on there good. Well, I think I just stretched the bolt and I just bent the breaker bar. Yeah, she's locked up good. Well, looks like she needs an engine. We can make that happen. Well, now that we know the engine and the Blazer is definitely not good, we need to start trying to figure out what we're gonna put in it. Luckily, I have a spare 5.3 sitting in the basement that I paid about $150 for under the terms of it burns oil. Hopefully it's not as locked up as that one, because if not, we're gonna have to start hunting down a motor like tonight, because we only have like a day and a half left. So let's get this thing in the garage. Let's start looking at what we actually have here for a motor to see if we need to start hunting down another one. But let's get to it. We're running out of time already. All right, so I bought this 5.3 about a year and a half ago. I bought it from a guy, wrapped it up, put it in the bed of the truck, drove it home. Paid $150 for it. So I actually don't know what we have here. Probably shouldn't have procrastinated as much. But let's cut in this thing and see what we got. That worked better than I thought it was going to. Hey, look at that. That's where my chain is. That makes so much more sense. Creative. Okay. What we got here? Okay. We do have 862 heads. There's my chain I've been missing for a year. Rear main seal plate is off. Oh boy. We may have made some mistakes here. Get these valve covers off and just see how absolutely gummed up this motor is. Not that it really matters. As long as it'll fire up and run. You have to be an LS Fest in 2 days. And yes, 5.3s are everywhere, but I also don't have another $1,000 to spend. So let's just see what we have here. Heck, maybe between the two of them I can make one of these things run. Okay. Looks slightly better than I thought I was going to for having 1,000,000 miles on it. I mean, honestly though, who knows? The guy could have taken these valve covers off and cleaned it, because the intake ports are gross. And I've seen some high mileage 5.3s. Oh yeah. See, now that's more what I was expecting. You see how much more crud is in that one right there? But the cylinder's cleaner. That's strange. And the rockers are a completely different color. Let's just see everything turns like it's supposed to. I think I can literally hear air coming out of where the oil pan's supposed to be. Oh no. Oh, those rings are gone. Oh, you can literally hear air coming out of where the oil pan's supposed to be. Those rings are just gone. I bet it did burn oil. I bet it burned a lot more than he claimed. Oh no. There's still a little bit of cross hatching, but there is definitely a very heavy wear mark on this thing. You can kind of see it. You can see where the piston stops. And there's actually a slightly, you can feel it with your finger just a little bit. But, you know, I mean, there's nothing too crazy, nothing too concerning. So I think, I mean, it's just a high mileage motor. It's for sure got 1,000,000 miles on it. But I think we're going to just try to take all the accessories off that other one, slap it on this one, and we're just going to run it until she blows up. All right, I guess let's start taking out that other one. Okay, so I think the first thing we're going to do is get this coolant system out of here. and kind of go from there. Oh my, I'm cutting a Mike Finnegan zip tie. Look at me go. Look at the zip tie work. I do have to say, the zip tie work on this thing, just top tier. You know, the guys on Phazer with Finnegan really know how to use a zip tie. Should have taken a picture of their zip tie engineering before I cut it out so I knew how to put it back, but where is the fun in that? Alright, so that is out of the way. We're just going to put the intake to the side because, you know, we don't want to mess up the Phazer with Finnegan engineering. If we can, I'd rather keep this truck as close to the way it was on the show as possible. That should be enough out of the way. Alright, so the question is, how do we want to drain the coolant system? Do we just make a massive mess? It's probably what we're going to end up doing regardless, so. Alright, let's go ahead and just start plugging things. Okay. Honestly, surprisingly well wired. For something they just slapped together in 3 or 4 days, supposedly. I mean, they actually did a decent job of wiring this thing, while tucking the wires and stuff anyways. Okay, so, you know, I feel like we should do a zip tie count. So, we were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So all that wiring is undone. Wow, did all the injectors really just come undone? That's surprising. So I think the intake is ready to come off. We got most of the wiring undone and all the bolts out of it. So let's just see if she's actually free. See that? The wires. Come on, baby. Make it over there. Oh man. Oh, she's free. Okay, let's get this thing out of here. Because we need to reuse this manifold. So it's the next day. You know, you might be thinking to yourself, next day? Why? It wasn't that late in the day. You're right. Sometimes when you take 2 days off of work, you don't actually get 2 days off of work. It's funny how that happens. So the moment everyone's been waiting for, what does this oil actually look like? That's my question. In the 2 years, obviously I've never touched it. Oh, Jesus. So my question is, with how locked up the motor is, I wonder how much metal is actually in this oil and how big of a mess I'm about to make. It's the real question. Really? Let me bring you in here. I mean, it's not shiny. I mean, it's a little burnt. But really, it's really not that shiny. I mean, there's a little bit of metal on the end of that. I don't know if the camera's focusing or not. But really, for how locked up this thing is, I mean, there's a little, oh yeah, there's a good bit of metal on that magnet. But, I mean, not as silver as I thought it was going to be, if I'm totally honest. And are we going to do this without making a mess? That'd be incredible. So, the question is, this motor's locked up tighter than the Tiger King. So, I can't spin it over to get the torque converter bolts out. So, what we're going to try to do is remove the whole motor with the torque converter still attached, and hopefully it'll just slide out of the transmission. Because we could remove this transmission, but to be honest, the way it's bolted in here and the way everything's set up, I would rather not mess with it, especially since they didn't use the right mounting hardware for the engine. I'd rather just not touch anything because currently everything lines up. The question is they had a notch right here to make it to where the motor could clear. So can we get enough lift out of the motor to make it clear to where it can go forward straight enough? Because really, the problem is with how close that is right there. If we slide it forward and then we hit that cross beam, that cross member, and we don't actually get the shaft completely out of the transmission, there's two things we can do. We can mess up the pump on the inside of the transmission by putting too much force on it. We can mess up the seal. We kind of gambling a lot here because we can mess up a lot of things. So hopefully we can get it to raise up enough to where it has enough forward slide so we can get it slid out with the torque converter. If not, what will happen is it'll get bound up. Then we won't be able to get it to go back into the transmission. So then we won't be able to get the transmission out because we can't bolt it back to the engine. So basically, if we don't get enough lift out of the engine to get it forward, then we're removing everything. Cross your fingers. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. All right, well, let's get the drain pan bolt back in and get this motor out. Why did I just tighten that? I don't know. Of course I have it. It's time. Alrighty. It is time. Been waiting for this moment for 2 years. 2 years. Oh my gosh, it's finally time. Oh. Well, that answers my question. A lot of things just happened that was, oh, did I hit the radiator? Well, no, you know, well. Safety third. Oh my goodness. They only welded the top part of that motor mount. That's what just happened. She's out after 2 years. Now we have to try to still get that torque converter off, which is still not gonna be the funnest thing since she's a little locked up. And then we have to switch everything over to the newish motor. Newish motor, it's got 1 million miles on it. Throw the thing in here and see if she even runs. Whew. Goodness, that got scary. All right, now that we got the old engine out of Phazer the Blazer, there's just a certain couple things we need to take off this thing to put on the new motor. Motor mounts, oil pan, torque converter, obviously, because we can get that off flywheel, and then there's an adapter to make it to where it goes up to this torque converter. That's probably gonna be the funnest thing to get off this thing. So I'm gonna take most of this off. Kind of if we start struggling with anything, I'll bring you guys in, but I'm gonna get after it. Huh. All right, now let's cool this thing down. All right, we just gotta work it back and forth a little bit, even though she's fighting us. Boom, baby. Yes. Okay. All right. So, but the reason we were heating it up, so essentially, this is a much bigger mass of metal, right? So once we get this super hot with this, obviously this is gonna be, you know, the same temperature as that. But when we come in here and hit this, because this is a thinner piece of metal and we're hitting it from, you know, the inside and being kind of precise with it, this is gonna cool off. This is also gonna cool off a little bit, but the outer ring of mass out here that we also have super hot is then gonna reheat this before it reheats this as I'm hitting this. So that's gonna be the principle where you can shrink this kind of quickly, and then this will stay a little bit bigger. So it'll give you that heating and shrinking contraction that you want. Because really, if you just heat this and heat this, it's not like a broken bolt. What you'll actually do is, depending on the different kinds of metals, is if this gets hotter than this, which it probably will because it's a thinner base metal, it'll actually get more stuck in there and it'll be even harder to get out. So by heating this up and that bigger piece of mass and then cooling it down, that's the only reason we were able to save this out of there. And this is a we have to have it part. Nice, I'm super happy about that. All right, so we got two engines. I need to steal the oil pan and stuff off this one. So what do you do here? Well, we only have one engine stand. Well, I guess we're just gonna take this thing all the way up to the moon, increase the sketchiness level all the way up to here, drop everything out, get covered in stuff, put it on this engine, and then swap everything over. Does that seem sketchy enough? No? No? Not sketchy enough? Is that sketchy enough? Probably need more cameras now. No, if we go any higher, we'll have to get more cameras out, and I don't feel like doing that. Because you know the rule, the sketchier it gets, the more cameras you need, okay? Currently, we only have one. No more room to go up. You know what, let's get a drain pan, make it look like we care. Yes. Good enough. You know, it's not until you go to do a video that every one of your neighbors decides to cut their grass. That's okay. Question is how many of them actually want me to get crushed by this engine? Probably a bunch of them, let's be honest. Sad part is I live in the front of a neighborhood, like very, very front. As soon as you come in the entrance, this is just me. Just by the way, so everyone's clear, I understand, I would hate meat too. I can't tell you how many absolute dirty looks I've gotten in the last day. I'm just driving past, just mouth wide open, disbelief. By the way, the better thing would be to do is to do a star pattern. So we're releasing the torque off the pan evenly. We ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ooh. Spinning danger. Starting to feel like we need another camera. That's what I'm starting to feel like. At least then if I get crushed, my family has something to watch and laugh at me. Cause I would deserve it. I would deserve it for sure. Would you just look at us? Stuff's going in the pan. Don't worry about the stuff not in the pan. It's all just water. Can we reuse this gasket? You know we're gonna reuse this gasket. I mean, it's the gasket that was on Phazer with Finnegan. You know, that's show stuff. Why is this so heavy? All right, so we got the windage tray out of the other one and got it cleaned up to where it only looks like it has 1 million instead of 2 million miles on it. Really not what you want to do on an engine that you care about at all. You really want to go through these things and clean them up really nice, you know, and properly clean them. But we're just gonna squint hard enough and it's gonna look good enough. So we're just gonna throw that on there. An actual really important thing is to make sure that these screens are cleaned out, especially when it's coming from a blown up motor. So you want to start with at least reverse blowing it. Then you can maybe blow it out this way. Wow. Yeah, no wonder the other motor blew up. I mean, that oil pan is so full of sludge. It's actually, actually I shouldn't say too much because this motor is not much better off at all. Oof. Ooh. Oh. Hey. I don't think that's good. Hold on, let me dump the oil out. It's a little chunky in there. Oof. Yeah, that's not good. All right, so it's Thursday night, right before LS Fest, and it is about 6:45. So I'm officially throwing in the towel and calling every brother-in-law card I possibly have. So Zach's gonna come help us install this engine. Everyone say hi to Zach. He's got one of the best mullets in the game. So we're gonna try to throw this thing in. A lot of it's gonna be kind of skipped over because at this point we're just out of time. So we're just gonna do our best to get some stuff, but we gotta go. Ooh, that one's not locked. You ready for some danger?
Yeah.
Whatever I had, probably 15. I don't have any fancy power tools around here. Oh, and you're gonna be very scared when you see how little threads are on there.
Yeah, no.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It held for a year. Different sizes.
It'll be all right.
Look, it held for a year.
Yeah.
Sat in the basement for over a year. Look, you don't need the right hardware. Will you get the wrench with the black socket over there so you can hold the crankchest? This is the safe way to do it, Zach.
Yes, it is.
Why it's on a chain.
Yes.
What do you think they're supposed to be toward down to?
Good and tight.
So right.
Click, click.
Ready?
Click, click.
Ready?
Click, click.
Ready?
And click, click.
Perfect. It's done. That'll never come apart. Or it'll come apart immediately in a fantastic show.
Right.
Thank you. The echo?
A little bit. But at least she's in there, though. Time to do some sketchy shit. Do-da, do-da.
So when I took the oil pan off, it was up here, and I was... I'm pretty sure half the neighbors are like, I hope it crushes him. Good enough.
Now the fun part begins.
There we go. Good job. Just a swinging away. So when you do this by yourself, when you push one side, the other side just goes. I will say this bumper is great for standing on. Like it's like the perfect like.
When we do that and you hold.
Yeah. Just need a little bit of weight. You want to lower the transmission just a hair. By the way, that jack, super cheap.
Yeah.
She gonna drop. Okay. She's home. Finally. Now we have to just get the bolts through. So full transmission's fully lined up.
Yep, is there lined up? Yeah.
Fully hooked in. So I'll go lay in the mud and try to get the bolts in, and I'll yell what if you want to try to go up or down or. Oh. Oh. Hey, that bolt. Hey, that's only gonna happen once. Is there another bolt somewhere? I don't know what I. Well, it's nighttime now. Time to put some good oil on this thing. One of the best for a hot rod. Obviously, name brand 2050. Because it's a hot rod. Oh, I spilled it. How did I spill so much and I have a phone? Wait for it. Wait for it. Yep. Too late. Oh. Hey, Zach, I filled up the funnel and then started overfilling it.
Oh, God.
It's too late.
I said, I hope you have enough oil now.
I mean, I bought 7 quarts because I figured it burned some.
Okay.
That's also why I bought 2050.
Just slow down the burning process?
You don't have to put new piston rings on there if you just step it up to a 2050. Seemed like a lot of work to put new piston rings and on the cylinders. Why would I do that? You just step it up, thicker oil. Zach, we are in a neighborhood.
I'll make sure our starter wire's tight.
Oh yeah. Did you put both of them on there?
Yes.
Very nice. It would really be a shame to burn it down at this point. I can't believe I overfilled that funnel. And it just started dumping everywhere.
Go.
Just doing stupid stuff. Oh yeah. She's got some fresh oil in her. This motor never knew what was coming. And when you're building a hot rod, you got to use the best coolant, so garden hose. Come on.
Wrong way. Wrong way. Oh, God. Let me get it in for now.
Yeah, I'll have to double check it tomorrow. Oh my goodness, are we about to do this? Sorry. Yeah, I guess so. Oh goodness. Well, you can do it a little bit more, but that seemed like a lot of fuel. Okay. I even brought the steering wheel. Let me get at this thing first. Oh, I'm so excited. Ready? Ready?
Right.
Did you turn the fuel off? It runs! It runs. I was so nervous about that engine. You want to just let it run for just a second longer, just to make sure that.
All right.
Ready?
Alternator charging.
What?
Alternator charging.
Oh my God. It runs. Well, if she doesn't win Best in Show, we'll know LS Fest is rigged. Goodness, look how good she cleans up. Flawless. All right, now let's just get her on the trailer. We're only a day late, let's go. We finally got Phazer the Blazer out to LS Fest East after it's been sitting for about 3 years. The only thing we did to it is drop a $150 junkyard motor in it. Everything else is still exactly the same. We've driven it onto the trailer and off the trailer, so now let's go put this thing on the track and see how she does. I'm sure this is gonna go great. I don't see any problems with anything. the end of day one. As you can see, the Blazer has full hydraulic steering, not hydraulic assist. So if you barely touch the wheel, the actual wheels turn very quickly. So when we were mid-air, the wheel got bumped, so we got a little crossed up, as you saw. So we landed very crooked and almost totaled the truck. Seems like a couple things are just bent, nothing big. Tire came off the rim, we fixed that, so we're gonna be ready for day two. Let's get after it. All right, so it's day two at LS Fest Sunday. It's our last day. The entire goal today is make it more than 2 laps. Technically, we barely made 2 laps yesterday. We do have one bent leaf spring, and then the shock mount on the back has been blown off, so it's gonna be a little bit sketchier than yesterday. So we're just gonna try to make it past 2 laps. Let's get out there and get it going because we're gonna run out of time. We only have about an hour run time today. Let's get after it. with one full day off of work and a few afternoons, we were able to take this truck to sat for 3 years, get it running and driving, take it up to LS Fest and have one heck of a time. Yeah, we may have tweaked a few things, but that's all on good days of fun. But the real question is, I don't know what to do with it at this point. Do I kind of keep it like this where I don't have to worry about it as much and go thrash on it? Do I kind of start doing a light restoration, touch up the paint, maybe paint the whole thing? I don't know. I'm going to look to you guys. I read most of your comments, if not all of them. So comment down below what you think we should do with this truck. Do we just leave it the way it is, keep beating on it, have fun, start restoring it? I don't know. So always remember, a drive a day keeps the therapist away. Get out there and get started on your projects. If we didn't start on this thing, it'd still be rotting to the ground. Get out there and start on it. It'll be worth it. See you guys next time.